2:15 and it's BBC Radio Northampton. A very good afternoon. Now, just how strong is your sense of community or identity for where you live? Jim and Anne Wishart would like there to be a bit more where they live, and they're doing something about it as part of an organisation called SERA, which is the St Edmunds Residents Association. The group has been going for about a year now, and Jim and Anne are in the studio with me. Good afternoon to the two of you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year.
Happy New Year to you too.
What prompted this in the first place? Where did the association first come from, and where does SERA cover?
Well, the area covered is from Cliftonville Road or Alfred Street towards the town centre as far as York Road, and then north-south from Abington Square down to Billing Road. So it's about 1,000 houses.
That's quite a big area.
It is quite.
A lot of people in that case, one way or another.
Yeah, there is.
What prompted you to set the organisation up? Because you're kind of the founder members, aren't you?
We, together with Kevin Evans, we're a little trio that started it up. What started it? It's difficult to say, really. We've always been interested in community, and we are retired, which makes it easier, of course. And I certainly feel that community and relating to other people is one of the basic benefits of life. It's one of the reasons for being.
You are obviously residents within that geographic area that you just outlined. I used to be a resident in that area myself. In fact, until Jim and Anne walked into the studio, I didn't know that we used to live on the same street, but we did. Now there's a sense of community for you. I didn't realise that we were neighbours. Actually, we were neighbours for about 2 years. How long have you lived in the area yourself? You live on one of the streets within that area. How long have you lived there for?
We've lived there since we moved in 87. But we moved to Northampton in 1970, so we're quite newcomers, really.
And Anne, what would you say about the state of the community at the moment, as far as SERA is concerned? Is there a sense of identity? Is there a community sense?
Well, I'm very lucky because I'm what I mentioned, a guerrilla gardener. And
guerrilla gardener?
Yes, and that's how I feel I got pulled into thinking there was more to community, because you do a little bit of gardening and people talk to you, they tell you about their problems, and it's really a case of getting to know one another. Now, I'm surprised I hadn't met you, because you say you walk up and down the
I used to
road,
walk past your window every day.
and I say hello to everybody.
Oh, well, it's just me in that case.
This is what happens with old people.
Oh, who are you calling old? That sense of community is something that perhaps previous generations had, in a way that current generations perhaps don't have. A lot of young people live in that catchment area that you were talking about.
Yes.
Equally, you've got lots of different kinds of residents too, because you've got businesses in that area, you've got young people, you've got older people. How do you break down the divides, and who do you represent as an association in that area?
Everybody. I mean, the schools, and we were governors on Vernon Terrace School for a few years, and of course you get to know the parents, you get to know the children, the staff, and in fact the schools are very interested in getting involved within the community.
Because they're interested in the history of the area.
Back to us, especially the graveyard situation that we're is one of our projects, and I mean, green space is so valuable, and we've had information back from the primary schools to say that they would be interested because they could do nature projects, and also it means that people who use the facility will meet people, old, young, wouldn't matter who you were. I mean, I say hello to everybody. You don't know who they are, where they're from. I'm terrible with names, but you know, it's important.
That guerrilla gardens is actually a very, very good way of getting to know people.
Just explain for anybody who's listening who doesn't quite know what the term guerrilla gardens means. What is it?
It's a semi comic word, isn't it, phrase, to call it a guerrilla garden. But what you do is you take over a piece of public land and you cultivate it, and it's done all over the country in different places.
I have seen it because it appeared underneath my flat window actually a little while ago, and I thought, well, that looks great. That's nice. Never knew who did it, but it suddenly appeared one night, and now I know who did the work.
That's right.
What do you perceive as being the issues of those 1,000 households that are represented within that area, and what are you, as Sarah, as an association, trying to do about that, if anything at all?
There's no limit to what we will actually take on. It is the nuts and bolts of everyday living. Things that bother people.
Mm-hmm.
Things that bother people are rubbish, particularly.
So is that a council thing that you then talk to the council about?
Yes, it is.
Okay.
There's it's quite a complicated system, and we've got issues with the way that the contract is set up to clean the streets. But together we hope that with other residents' associations, because there's about 10 or 15 throughout the town,
mm-hmm.
and my own view is that if we joined together and came up with a solid front, this is the way we think the town should be cleaned, then we might have more pressure. All right, so
cleaning and rubbish is one thing. What else do you perceive as being an issue?
Other things are such things as, housing, multiple housing. We want to see how the area function satisfactorily and humanely and well and pleasantly.
Are you saying that there's too much of that going on at the moment?
Sometimes you can see that there are houses that are overcrowded. The house has been divided up into too many living spaces,
mm-hmm.
and so again that is quite a big issue, and we can do surveys and check on statistics and facts, and then put pressure on in the appropriate place.
Surely that means, though, that those people, to take that as one specific instance, if you're going to bring about change, which is what you seem to be saying, you need those people on board as part of the association, as much as anybody who's not in one of those multiple-use houses and so on. You've been going for a year. Progress has been slow to date so far. Why do you think that is?
I think it might be.
I'd say because the neighbourhood team that were working in the council, we were having a really good support from them. Legal, told us what we could do, what we couldn't do, and suddenly it all gone.
A department set up in the borough which supported these sorts of community organisations, and a part of the cuts it was just got rid of.
So at the point when you started out, everybody was welcoming you.
Yeah.
And then because of the budgetary cuts, the opportunity and the facilities disappeared, and then the ability with which you could be supported and actually nurture the association, that vanished, did it?
Yes. But really, we've had wonderful support from Councillor Daniel Stone and Winston Strachan. We've got 3 Labour councillors in our area,
mm-hmm.
so we've really had support.
Well, they help.
And at our meetings, we've had people to come and speak. We had Mary, councillor.
Yeah, we get speakers in on different subjects for each meeting,
with a view to then mobilising the association to do something, or to help with the creation of the association.
Yeah, there was one meeting we had where the specific topic was housing,
mm-hmm.
and so that we could discuss the question of things like multiple occupation and the balance between tenancies and ownership, and see where we would go from there.
Right at the start, you said that the catchment area that you'd got, York Road up to Palmerston Road or thereabouts, and Wellingborough Road down to Billing Road, roughly 1,000 households as a result. How many of that 1,000 is actually part of the association right now?
Well, this is a function of how many people know about it.
Yes.
And we haven't got facilities for printing and delivering and so on. If we did, everybody would get a a leaflet whenever we have a meeting. We do get to quite a few of them. The first meeting we had, there was more, and it's gradually tapered off.
Right.
But I think that's normal.
So it's a question of word of mouth reputation and spreading the word. Have you spoken to other associations and found out how they're successful and what you could then do?
They get invited, and they send representatives to our meetings.
Sorry, forgive me, one at a time. Jim, carry on.
Yes, the other local ones know about us, and they'll know about our meetings, and they'll come to the meeting or send representatives, and we'll go to theirs. And
you wanted to come in on that?
I was going to say we go to the other associations' meetings. We unite, and it was very definitely a positive outcome when we met up about street rubbish. But we've had help from Keith Dragon at Open Door. Very good. And they've got the street walk paper. And
so what is now next for the association? You said that if you can get together with the 9 or 10 other associations in the town, then you can become a force to be reckoned with. But in the meantime, you've still got to build and foster and develop the sense of identity and community within your own association. What are the next couple of things that you want to do over in the next 2 to 3 months?
Well, there's one which is an ongoing one, which is the question of the St Edmunds churchyard, whether we can open that up to the public. That's one factor. There is an investigation. We're doing checking on whether we can do anything about a strategy for street play, and I've got some of my own ideas which I haven't sent through, but they are to do with calming the streets and trying to aim towards a different balance of power, if that's not too strong a phrase, between pedestrians and motor cars.
Okay.
There are ideas now coming along which talk about what's called shared space.
Sounds like, therefore, you need more people to come on board to be part of the association.
We certainly want to encourage anybody, certainly in that area.
You've got meetings coming up. When's your next meeting?
The next one's on Monday, this coming Monday at 7 o'clock in the Victoria Road Church Rooms, entrance on Cyril Street.
I know, yeah, okay. And that's 7 o'clock in the evening.
Yes.
Come one, come all. If you are residents of the area, the door will be open, and you'd like to get more people through the door.
We wouldn't turn anybody away, and we'd like to get more people involved.
Fascinating. Yeah. Well, 1 year in, you've made a start. You've got a certain number of people on board, 1,000 households. You'd be stuck if all 1,000 turned up at the Victoria Road church rooms, I know. But if they all turned up at once, you'd have a right old party going on. That sense of community, that sense of association, clearly something that's going to grow. Obviously, other associations doing the same thing. Fascinating story. Do keep us posted with how things go, because if word of mouth reputation and if word of mouth can spread the word and get more people on board, then clearly that identity may well establish itself, and some of those issues may well be dealt with. Equally, if you've got strong links to council, albeit that some of the functions of the council may have reduced in the recent past, then maybe that's something that can expand as well. Let's get you back in a few months' time and see how things are going.
Very good. Yeah,
that would be lovely. Thanks for having us.
Great to have you in, Jim, and all the very best for the future, and thanks for coming into the show.